Okay, so what are the latest updates with this $600 stimulus check that was proposed? The tariffs are supposed to pay for this. How are the tariffs going? That's the subject of today's video. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like these updates. New bill proposed $600 tariff rebate stimulus check. We talked about this last week. We talked about the fact that Trump's tariffs, whether you like Trump or not, are bringing in massive revenues. So let's take a look and see what's happening with these tariffs. Trump is actually celebrating, saying that these tariffs are going well. Let's take a quick look and see what Trump said.
So far, President Trump says he's winning the trade war using aggressive tariffs to strong-arm countries into better trading practices, all while avoiding major inflation.
Critics said that our tariffs would hurt the economy, but the data shows the exact opposite.
In 4 months, he's secured trade deals with countries like the United Kingdom, Japan, and...
Okay, remember, these tariff revenues are what's supposed to pay for this stimulus check, which could be minimum $600 or even higher as currently proposed. And one thing that makes it a big deal is we actually have a proposal for a stimulus check. It's not just rumors. You know, for years, people have posted videos or made articles about stimulus checks. We have an actual proposal, and from a Republican, which is big, right? Because a Republican is in charge in office now. But quickly looking at the tariffs here, all the way on the right, these are the tariffs that Trump put in place kind of as the interim tariffs. So you'll see from the UK down to China, 25%, 46, 32, China 145%. Now with these agreements, and most of these agreements have not been fully signed yet, but these are just verbal agreements for the most part. But if you see UK agreeing to 10%, Vietnam 20%, Indonesia 19%, Philippines 19%, and so forth, you'll see these tariffs are bringing in a lot more revenue than you've seen before. Over double of last year. If you look at this chart is going up massively starting in May. And if these tariffs continue, there's going to be enough tariffs to easily pay for the $600 stimulus check, potentially even double, again, if it even gets approved. If you look here, the U.S. generated $127 billion in tariffs as of August 4th, which is over 130% more from the same time last year. And one thing that's interesting is it's already doubled, but it didn't really start going up exponentially until May and then June. And one thing you'll notice is at the beginning of the month, the number spikes up significantly and then kind of slowly goes up and then spikes up significantly at the end of that month as well. It seems that might have something to do with the way they calculate the revenues. They might do most of this at the end of the month. At least that's what it looks like, because you're seeing these giant spikes at the end of the month. So it's going to be interesting. We'd see this giant spike here at the beginning of August. It's going to be interesting to see how big that continues to get at the end of every single month. But let's take a quick look and see what's happening with these tariffs.
The EU, with South Korea being the latest announced on Wednesday.
This is a fundamental restructuring of the international trade environment in a way where the biggest market in the world has said, you're not going to cheat us anymore. We're going to have fair deals.
But the White House still has to defend the legality of Trump's tariffs in federal court. After a lower court ruled he overstepped his authority. The president wished his lawyers good luck with the big case today, writing, "If our country was not able to protect itself by using tariffs against tariffs, we would be dead with no chance of survival or success." It's all happening just hours before the president's next tariff hike.
So one of the biggest issues with these tariffs is also the fact that the courts are saying Trump might not actually have the power to do this at this scale, and the majority of these tariffs might in fact have to go through Congress. Now, a lot of us know at this point that the Supreme Court, is basically in the pockets of the Republicans. They've got 6 conservative judges, so if it makes it all the way up there, there's a good chance they're going to side with Trump anyway. But that could essentially wipe out the majority of these tariffs, and if that were to happen, these stimulus checks definitely would not be happening in that case, again, because that revenue is what's supposed to pay for it. Now, let's take a quick look. Trump is actually threatening to put massive tariffs on India, which again would generate even more revenue for that stimulus check. And this is because India buys a lot of oil from Russia. Trump wants that war to come to an end, right? He ran on saying he could make peace. He would end these wars in basically a day. Here we are 6 months into his presidency, and the war with Russia and Ukraine is still going on. Now, could this be a tactic to help end the war by basically strangling Russia economically and generating more revenue for the U.S., potentially for that stimulus check? Let's take a quick look and see what Trump said.
With less than 30 hours to go until his new global tariffs go into effect, President Trump warning he may raise tariffs still farther on key trade partner India, already facing a 25% import tax. That threat coming in a wide-ranging phone interview on CNBC.
But I think I'm going to raise that very substantially over the next 24 hours because they're buying Russian oil, they're fueling the war machine. And if they're going to do that, then I'm not going to be happy.
Trump policy uncertainty now affecting disparate parts of the U.S. economy.
Tariffs, again, did take a bite out of this.
Heavy equipment maker Caterpillar telling investors tariffs could cost their bottom line $1.5 billion this year. Hotel giant Marriott noted.
Okay, so you saw Trump saying there that potentially putting massive tariffs on India if they continue to buy oil from Russia. Again, we don't know how Putin's going to respond to that, but it could potentially strangle Russia economically. It'd be interesting to see how that would affect the war. How would that affect geopolitical relations with Russia as well? But it would bring in massive revenues for this $600 stimulus check. Again, if you guys haven't seen this, Republicans proposed a $600 stimulus check to be paid for by this tariff revenue. Trump today also announced that he's probably going to be putting massive tariffs on big pharma. If you check out these headlines, Trump says pharma tariffs could eventually reach up to 250%. Again, this revenue could go towards that stimulus check, which was proposed to be paid for by these tariffs. Trump told CNBC that he planned tariffs on pharma companies, on pharmaceuticals imported into the U.S., could eventually reach up to 250%, the highest rates he's threatened so far. He said he will initially impose small tariffs on pharmaceuticals that are being imported into the U.S., but then in 1 year to a year and a half maximum, he would raise it to 150 and then even 250%. Now, I believe Trump's play here is he wants pharma companies, even some of these U.S. companies, they're making these drugs overseas. Those would be tariffed on the way in, tariffing U.S. companies that are making them abroad. On top of that, he's saying that it's not fair that the pharma companies charge the U.S. sometimes, in some cases, 20 times more than they're charging other countries. Essentially, he's saying the U.S. is subsidizing other people's drug costs while pharma gets their profits from us. So he wants them to raise prices on other countries, lower prices on the U.S., and then he'll take away those tariffs. But in the meantime, those tariffs could generate massive revenue for this stimulus check that's been proposed. And guys, if you're watching this video, please drop a comment down below. I will take a couple of minutes at the end of each video to respond to your comments. Let me know your thoughts on these tariffs, the stimulus proposal, and just what your thoughts are on Trump's plans in general. But if we look here, he said he will initially impose a small tariff on pharma companies, but then in a year to a year and a half, he'll raise them to 150 and then 250 at some point. He repeatedly threatened and then changed course on tariff proposals. There's no guarantee he would actually get to 250, but that is the current threat for pharma companies. Really quickly, guys, one of the major things that are being affected by these tariffs are tariffs on auto manufacturers importing these cars from other countries. And if you're thinking about buying a car, check out this headline. Trump's auto tariffs are turning new car shopping into a wild ride. Now, the Trump administration import tariffs look to make shopping for a new vehicle more difficult in the second half of 2025. A lot of cars are brought in from other countries, even companies that make their cars in the U.S. One thing to keep in mind is with that tax bill he passed, you will be able to deduct most of the interest on your car depending on your income. That's going to help offset some of those costs. But there's a good chance new car prices are about to go up significantly. The tariffs have cut into automakers' profits, and experts predict higher costs will be passed onto shoppers. Sticker prices may rise 4 to 8%. So that's the current estimation that car prices could go up 4 to 8% for new cars. Not sure how that would impact used cars. There's always a dynamic between then more people might buy used cars, so then used car prices could go up as well. But really quickly, guys, on every video, hopefully, I try and give you at least something as far as Social Security benefits updates. The news has been a little bit slow with Social Security, but I wanted to remind you guys that payment change at the end of September, so in about 7 weeks, it's going to start where they can do no longer any paper checks at all. It's all going to be electronic unless you apply for a for them to make an exception for you, which you can do, and I've showed you that in previous videos, go to the Social Administration's website if you need that. But basically, everyone's going to have to be on paper checks, or off paper checks, on electronic. So if you haven't done so, make sure you guys have your info uploaded. If you have friends or family on Social Security, make sure they know as well. There still is a small percentage of people getting paper checks, and their payments will be delayed unless they make this transition ahead of time. Again, I've shared that info before, but if you need it, just go to the administration's website. You should find it there, or call your local office if you need more help. But guys, with that said, that's the update for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, Trump's tariffs have brought in over double of what the tariffs brought in last year, and this has been going up exponentially over the last few months, so we could get triple or even 5x the tariff revenue we got last year, and it's been proposed by Republicans, surprisingly, to use that money to give people stimulus rebate checks to not only help them, but also help offset the cost of these tariffs. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. We talked about how Trump is threatening massive tariffs on India for buying oil from Russia, helping Putin in this war, trying to basically get two benefits: create more revenue for the U.S. as well as damage Putin financially to hurt him in this war. We talked about how Trump is threatening pharma companies with tariffs as high as 250%, and the fact that Trump has made some deals where he's charging these companies anywhere from 10 to 20% on tariffs. Again, a lot of that could go towards approving this stimulus check as well. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please like, please subscribe. Please call our partner chapter. You'll see the phone number on the screen here. They'll help you learn how Medicare works, what your options are, and hopefully help you come up with a choice for a plan that could be a good fit for you. Before I end this video, I want to take a quick minute to look at the comments here. Kathleen said, "These people are liars." Yes, but this is the first actual stimulus proposal in many, many years, so there is some progress here. Michael Norden said, where is the lower electric and gas for cars and the water bills and stimulus? Yes, Michael, utility bills are still super high. And Bryant Brown said a fourth stimulus check out of random of $600 is better than nothing, regardless of political party. Some people say it's not enough, but using $600 wisely is better than zero. Thanks for the update. Yeah, Bryant. And again, remember, the $600 in the bill as currently written is the minimum. The bill specifically says that if the tariff revenues come in higher than expected, then they could actually do an even higher stimulus check. And we went over the numbers that this could easily bring in enough revenue to do a $1,200 stimulus check like they did a few years ago, right? So a lot up in the air, guys. Please like, please subscribe. If you like this content, I will keep you posted with the stimulus updates, Social Security benefits, politics, and the economy as well. So guys, thank you so much, and I hope to see you on the next video.